little sausage is outside playing in the garden, and I've bought some things to show you. There's Bobbin on the windowsill. Loves having a look out the window. I've just had to start this again because he was telling someone off for daring to walk past. But I had to show you this because a little while ago I went to visit Kelly of Lay Family Yarn and Nick and picked out yarn for another project. So I should have brought the other sample here to show you actually, but it's the Goose Eggs quilt but as a throw, so at a larger gauge, different stitch count, just to make a bigger piece. And I went over to Kelly's to pick out colours, because the thing with the Goose Eggs Throw is that it's 25 different colours, so it's perfect for an advent calendar if you feel so inclined. I'm holding it double, holding the fingering weight double with alpaca fuzz, which is so soft. My little one loves using the ball winder, so he helped me wind that up this morning. And I just needed to show you, because I wanted to show you while it's just minis, because they look so lovely all together. And I haven't been starting it because I haven't been able to show you, because I haven't been able to film, and I'm desperate to start it. So I thought, okay, I just need to do it while I'm here, and then I can get started. I've already made another sample and I'll show you that, but the other sample, I wonder if there's anywhere I can put this. So I've made another sample, and the other sample I made with 24 different colours, because there are 24 triangles and then the border, and I did the border in the same colour as one of the triangles. And I used mohair, and I sort of matched the mohair to the colours of the yarn. So it's a really saturated and rich piece. Whereas this one is going to be a bit more true to my inspiration of the Goose Eggs book, because that's all like pastel, soft colours, and that's what this is going to look like, especially when held together with this fluff. So I also got this bag while I was there. I don't know if Kelly's got any more, but it was made by somebody local to her, I think, and it's just beautiful. I love velvet. I absolutely love velvet. So when I saw this, I knew I really had to take it home. And it's got beautiful hand printed, and I think these are hand carved lino cut prints. Beautiful bag, I love it. And it's nice and big as well, which I thought would be perfect for this throw. I've got 4 bags in here, because what I did last time with the mohair one is I got 4 bags, numbered them, and then I put the yarn for the different quadrants in the bags to sort of keep everything organised. And then, oh, it's heaven in here, absolute heaven. Oh, look at all of those. These are minis from Lay Family Yarn Pick and Mix. So I went up there, I took my first sample, which is held double with mohair, but it's just 3 colours. I'll show you that as well. And that is what I did initially. I feel like I'm going round and round in circles, so I hope I'm making sense. But that's what I designed initially, and then it moved into the blocks of the Goose Eggs quilt. So I always intended it to be one block, a larger piece, and then it moved into the Goose Eggs quilt, where it's several blocks that you then sew together. So I'm really excited now to be going back to my initial idea of the throw. You can use it as a shawl, up to you, it's just square. I've lost my train of thought. What was my train of thought just then? Can't remember. Anyway, so in the back of the Goose Eggs quilt, I put in a colouring sheet of the diagram of the block so that you could design different colour schemes if you want. And I'll put this also in the Goose Eggs Throw because it's really helpful to colour in, to work out different colour ideas, or to write down the colour order, and that's what I've done here. So what I'm going to do today is sort out all these yarns into my 4 bags. So let me put them on the floor and show you. Oh look, aren't they lovely? So there's the fluff, and look at all the different colours. Oh, so the largest triangle in this throw uses just less than 20 grams, so it's perfect for a advent calendar, a 20-gram minis advent calendar. So these are 10 grams, so for some of them I've got 2 because then I'll be able to make the larger triangle. But aren't they so pretty? So I went over to Lay Family Yarn HQ and I took my initial sample, which was just 3 colours, laid it on the floor, and then started laying the different, oh look at that, the different colours onto the quilt, the throw, and trying to arrange them in such a way that they look appealing. And it's quite tricky to do because you don't, or for mine, I didn't really want, I wanted it random, but I didn't want any, a controlled random it'd be really, because I didn't want, say, a whole like corner of pink or something. I wanted the colours to be spread out quite evenly, so it gave it a really nice sort of overall look. Those colours look so similar, don't they? I have got shades from the same family, so actually those 2 are the same and those 2 are the same, but they'll be separate in the quilt. I love those. I think this is the colour I intend to do the border with. And look at this, I wanted sort of vintage looking colours, but then with a pop. This isn't as bright as it's coming up on the camera, but yeah, with a nice pop of bright, because when it's mixed with the fluff, that will tone it down quite a lot. Look at this colour, isn't that lovely? It's number 88. What's that one called? Red ochre. That's just so lovely. And the purples, which I love. I think there's 1 or 2 colours missing because they didn't have them dyed up. I used their big wall of swatches to arrange the colours. See, they look pretty similar as well, don't they? 21, 21. That's 82. That one's slightly darker. But yeah, in my other quilt, throw, I keep calling it a quilt because I'm so used to talking about the Goose Eggs quilt, there are a couple of colours that are different but sort of look the same, but it just all evens out so nicely. I think with this sort of project, when you're doing lots of colours, it can be quite easy to micromanage and sort of think too much about one area or one detail. I think this is a sort of project where you really have to suspend too much analysis until the end, really. So, because with the one that I just did in the mohair, which I really wish I bought so that I could show you, I'm excited to show you, I was knitting some of it, and then as I was knitting, I planned the colours ahead, which I will probably have inserted video of, or maybe I could do that now. We'll see where it fits in the video, but I took some when I was laying out the colours. And then as I was knitting it a while later, I started thinking, maybe I should move that colour, maybe that colour shouldn't go there. And for one of them I did actually change the colour, but it didn't work, and I had to take it back and go with what I initially thought. I think just trust the plan, trust the process. That's what I'm sort of telling myself. So I'm going to lay them out in the order that they're going to be, and then I'll come back and show you. Okay, so here it is laid out. The light's not great, so I don't know if you'll be able to see. I've just got one gap there, but I've sort of spread out the colours. So I think there's probably a blue in each quadrant, a pink in each quadrant, a yellow. So I'm going to start winding up and begin. Can you see that rain? The heavens have just opened. They were happily playing in the garden a minute ago, but now it's absolutely pouring. I love the rain, as long as I can stay in. Hello. It is a grey, rainy Sunday in October, late October. Might be the 24th, but I'm not entirely certain. And I decided to get my camera out because I've designed a blanket, and today I want to knit a different version of it. We're in my son's room, which used to be the studio. There's his little climbing frame. Because it's got the biggest amount of floor space. I'll show you what I've got. So this is the blanket. I may have shown you in the podcast. I've no idea what will go around this at the moment, because I can't imagine this is going to be released anytime soon. But this is the blanket, the first one that I did. Well, I did another sample, but this is the first complete one. And sort of like a windmill, isn't it? It's sort of based on a flying geese quilts motif. Quilt block, I'm not sure what you call it. Oh, I'm so pleased with it. But it's really squishy. It's fingering weight in mohair, and I know cameras really struggle to pick up mohair. And then it's got an I-cord edge. And the construction is such that you cast on a triangle, decrease to 1, and then you pick up stitches down the side of the triangle, and you sort of work in that way. And I just really enjoy doing it. You're never working with that many stitches on your needles. I happen to really like picking up stitches and knitting them, which is sort of the basis of this project, so that's lucky. And that's what I tend to do when I design patterns, really. I design things that I enjoy knitting. So yeah, I designed this one, and the colour's a bit off because, like I said, it is so grey out there, and we've got the bright overhead lights on. But this is a lovely warm orange. No, warm, well, yellow. It is yellow, but it's sort of warm. It's not like the yellow I'm wearing, which is sort of a pastel-y yellow. It's a nice warm one. Maybe it shows up, I'm not sure. Sometimes when I've gone on about how different the colour is, actually it's quite true to life when I see it on the computer screen. So yeah, this was a yarn from Felt Fusion. Shadow dyed me 5 skeins, years ago now, to make a mystery knit along. Shadow's fantastic at custom dyes, so I sent her this picture for inspiration, and she picked 5 colours out of it and dyed them for me for a mystery knit that I never actually did. So I think it was 5, it might have been 4. So I used that one here, and then this is a Homespun House, a club colourway. I think it might have been called Saturday Morning. This one was unnamed because it was a custom dye. And this is just white sock yarn of some kind. I'm not entirely sure what it is, and I had to use a couple of random scraps, but it's all just undyed white sock yarn, so that worked fine. And it's all held together with, it won't pick it up at all, will it? With mohair. Don't know if you can see any sort of fuzziness on there. I just love the hand that it gives the fabric. It's just so light but cozy. So yeah, that's the blanket. And then I counted the triangles and I saw it's got 24 triangles. And I thought, well, that is perfect for an advent calendar. I wonder how it would work without sort of picking out this main central motif and just doing it an absolute patchwork of different colours. So for the last couple of days I've been going through my stash. That sounds like I've got an enormous stash. It's actually because I just sort of steal pockets of time. But I've gone through my stash and I've picked out some colours. I've gone with all solids because I think I'd like it to be solid this time just to see how it works out. And I was really... Let me turn it around so I can talk to you. So yeah, I picked out lots of colours. All my solids, I wanted it to be like a deep, rich, beautiful, cosy patchwork. Interestingly, the blanket also works really nicely, I think, as a wrap. Let me see if I can put you somewhere and show you how this works. I haven't got my tripod out just yet, so yeah, that will work. So yeah, you can see where that's the back. So I just folded it to make a triangle. Go back a little bit, shall I? And then put it like that and did a little knot. And it's so cosy. I absolutely loved it. Tuck that in a little bit so it's just, I don't know what it's like at the back. But yeah, or you could have it at the front. You see all the different colours working together. Do a little knot at the bottom, underneath. It's so cosy, and because it's that fingering weight and mohair, it's just really light and snug. So I thought I'd love to do just a lovely rich patchwork that I could use as a blanket, or maybe I could wear. So I picked out all my colours. Just have a sip of tea. So yeah, I got out all of my yarns, and then I was thinking, in an ideal world, I would like it to be, I'd like this version to be paired with the alpaca fluff. It's just so soft and lovely, and I just wanted to try a different sort of fluff. But white alpaca fluff with the deep colours like this, for example, would just change it so much. It wouldn't be deep. The white, if you use the white like I did with that one, but especially the alpaca, because you know it's sort of thicker and the fibres are more noticeable, it would just mute this. It just sort of gives it a haze of, but even more than a haze, doesn't it? Now, what did I recently knit in that fluff? A jumper, I think. But it's quite light, so you can't really tell. I'm sure you've seen examples of where a very dark colour is used with a light alpaca fluff. It's just not the look I was going for. I wanted to sort of retain the depth of colour in this blanket, and I'm back and forth on this blanket. Well, I sort of think, oh, this could look just so wonderful in all these different colours, and then I think, oh, it could just look awful. It could look a complete mess. So we'll see. But what I decided to do was raid my stash of mohair. And I've sort of, well, I've grouped the colours. I didn't realise I had so many different scraps of mohair actually. I didn't realise I had so many different colours. Just gather these things over the years. I can't remember how many years I've been knitting, but you just gather these things over the years. And some of these mohairs would have been from when I very first started knitting, like this one. This is Jelly from Kid Silk Haze. I don't know why that's so, that colourway is so cemented in my mind, but I remember getting this at a little yarn shop in Leighton Buzzard, and this must have been, I remember Mum was doing her City and Guilds patchwork and quilting, so she'd be able to tell me when it was. I don't know, I might have to ask her, but it's very old stash. I think it's probably 10 years plus. Would it really be that long? Maybe. Anyway, this is very old stash, so yeah, I find it very difficult to get rid of yarn. So yeah, I've got them into little groups. I'll show you close up. I'm very excited about this project and not articulating it very well because I'm so excited. I'll show you. So, I've got all of my sort of tealy blues here. I did actually realise, well, I realised I had a lot more blue than I thought. So, yes, this is tealy blue. What is this? That's some 5 Moons. This is the Soxier yarn, which I seem to have quite a bit of, and I don't know if I've ever knit with it. And then this is a lovely skein. That was a gift. That was really beautiful. And then I've got some mohairs to go with it, so darker one to go with the darker skeins and this lighter one. I think I might have got that when I went to Florence, and I think that was, oh gosh, that must have been 15 something years ago. And then I've got the purples here, and I did have to buy this supplementary mohair. We went to John Lewis yesterday because it's the nearest place that does yarn like this, and I had a look. Yeah, so I'll probably use that one with all of them. I did have another purple, but it just was a different sort of feel that I wasn't as keen on. I just love these purples at the moment. And then the blues, which I did have a lot of, and I remember why I have a lot of these actually, because I knit Mum a Scattered Kisses hat. It's one of the designs that I came out with a couple of years ago, and you hold fingering weight and mohair together, and I wanted to knit her a light blue one, but it's sometimes really hard to judge yarn colours online, isn't it? A bit of fluff there. So I got this one in the post, and it wouldn't have gone with the yarn that I'd chosen as the fingering weight. And then I ordered another one, and they sent this one, I think by mistake, which is not the one I ordered. So then I got another one, and that was finally the right one. But yeah, I decided to keep them rather than send them back, because you can always use them, can't you? And I have no idea what this little bit's from. Maybe that's the one I actually used for her hat. A little bit left over. Then I've got these gorgeous Wool Barn minis. I don't know if I'll use both of those in there because they're quite similar. And that's also Wool Barn. This is a leftover from the Clara's dress socks that I designed a couple of years ago. One of the Christmas Eve cast on patterns. And this one I knit into Isolde Teague's first mystery knit along that Mum has, the shawl. And then I've got these greens. Actually, this was part of the mystery knit along set that Shadow dyed for me. This one was the gift that I was thinking of. So these are my greens, and I love this colour. I hope I can work this in there. It sort of seems a little bit not in keeping with the others, so we'll see. But yeah, I've got some lovely different shades of green. Green is one that I never imagined I'd have much of in my stash because I don't tend to buy it, but I love green. So this is all of my green stash, I think. I was going to knit another Scattered Kisses hat in green because I just really like it, but I've never got round to it. So I've got the mohair there, and then this is my favourite. This and this are my favourite. Oh, and this. Okay, I can't choose a favourite. But these are my golds. This is one that I dyed a while back, and then this is another Socks, yeah. And what's this? Oh, this is a lovely one from Cozy Posy Yarn Co. Oh, that's just beautiful colour. And then this one, can't remember where that's from. And then that'll go with this mohair, which I do have some more of. And then my sort of neutrals, got this lovely one from the Wool Barn. This was a mini with my Beehive yarn club. Last year I did a Crystal Visions yarn club, and this was one of the minis. This is another Socks, yeah. Now these, I think they're Life in the Long Grass. I think I got those two together and I knit a Helen Stewart pattern. It's a beautiful shawl and Mum has got it. And this one, that might be Bird Street yarn. This might be the yarn that I used for my chanterelle socks actually. And then I've got a white mohair and this sort of really light beige to go with those ones. And then over here I've got my pinks, which not many of actually. These two are Socks, yeah. This one is the Wool Barn. This is I think it's called Pink Coral, and I've just in the last couple of months finished a design in this that I really need to get out, but I haven't put out a pattern since March, so I'm just procrastinating with nerves. So this is a fresh leftover, and I did go out and get this yarn as well. So far I may make other supplementations. Where's this fluff coming from? So far I've bought 2 extra mohairs to go with it. Lovely deep colour. I just thought that that would really lift and sort of bring out the pinks in those. It's interesting, I haven't got loads of experience with mixing mohair with yarns or colourful mohairs with colourful yarns. I tend to just use light colours and white, like in that blanket. So it'll be really interesting to see how the mohair changes these different colours. And then this is the sort of dusky pinks. This is a 5 Moons. Now this, it has got more pink than the purple, so it's going to stay in the pink area. Now this is a Wool Barn that's, it's coming up brown, and it's not brown, it's sort of, what would I call that? Not sure, and it's really not coming up properly. It's already pink. I'm going to call it Raspberry Hot Chocolate. And this is another Wool Barn. I think this is called Smitten. I think I used that in my iced sugar cookies. It's one of the rows of icing. Then this lovely pink, that's also Wool Barn. And then this lovely mohair. This is pink, and I think that all the pink is getting washed out under the lights. But it's an Isea pink silk mohair, and it's just gorgeous. Now, what did I use that for? I can't remember. Oh, that was for my chanterelle socks. Yeah, of course. So yeah, they were the colours I used for my chanterelle socks. But that pink is just not having it today. It's not coming up at all. So my plan is, I thought I would lay out this blanket and then lay the skeins on top so that I can sort of decide where they're going to go. I think it would be too stressful to do it as I go, because there are quite a lot of parts where the colours will touch, and I think that I want to be more selective about that. I'm so excited about this process, but also nervous about getting it wrong, because this pretty much is my stash of solid colours. I'm not sure about using this one actually. I think it might be too dark with this mohair. Not sure. Yeah, I'm going to lay it out, lay my colours on top, see where I get to. Then I'm going to need to label everything and make a key, which is part of the process that I really enjoy. Like with my crochet blankets, I think I showed one in the last podcast, which I think was last year. I really enjoyed doing the key that I can then like tick off which bits I've done. I was thinking about strategies for this blanket, and I was thinking that I will, where this one has the yellow, so it's got the yellow cross in the middle, I think that I will do my darkest colours in that cross to sort of make a little bit of an impact. The triangles will be much less sort of specifically pronounced. I don't know how people do this. My arm is getting tired. I'm going to keep the centre triangle dark so that it's more pronounced, and then go from there, I think. And I might do a slightly different stitch count. So the largest triangle in this takes 14 grams. So I might add a couple of stitches so that I can use the most of a 20 gram mini. The white triangles, I think they used about 7 grams, so they won't go over the 20 grams either. But I want it to be as much of a 20 gram mini as I can. And then I weighed the edge. It took 6 grams. And I remember when I did my iPod edging on the mitered square blanket, I think it took like 10 grams, and I was really shocked because it's such an eye-catching feature, or such a prominent feature of the blanket, but it takes such a tiny amount of yarn, and you think going all the way around it would take more, but it doesn't. Anyway, so that will be the 25th colour in the blanket. So yeah, I'm going to lay it out now. I think I'll do the darkest but my most favourite colours in the centre cross, and then work out from there. So wish me luck. I'll show you when I've made a bit of progress. Bobbin's come to help, haven't you, Bob? Okay, I think I'm there. I think this is the sort of thing that you could just change around colours for an eternity, but I think I will stop here. So this sort of way I did it was I chose some of my favourite ones and the darkest ones for the centre one, and I don't know if it will work out like this. See, now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that's too light, because I don't know that there are any colours that light. I think that's the lightest of the colours. I think it might stand out a little bit too much, but I do want, oh, and I don't know if I want a pink in that section. Okay, so I might have changed my mind. I might not be done. But I don't know what else could go in that section, because I had to go around. I didn't want the same mohair to be in any of the sort of quadrants, so this one will be with that, this one will be with that, and I was going to have this one with that, but I think it might make it too light. Oh, and this one was going to be with this jelly colour, and then the purples next to it. I'll just put that in. I think that's too light, isn't it? But what could I put in that spot? I don't want to put another green because I've got a green here. I don't want to put another dark blue because I've got this blue here. I don't want to put purple ideally. I know it's not in the same quadrant, but I feel it's too close. Well, I am not sure. Or maybe I'm focusing on it too much and it would be okay. But if you sort of look around at my other colours. Now, this one is darker than this one, but it will be paired with this mohair, which will lighten it up. So maybe it will be fine. This is the sort of beige mohair that it won't focus on. Okay, so I'm going to stick with it as it is for now. Perhaps I'll do that square last, maybe. So if we go round, then this one is with this mohair, this one is with this one is with this one is with this, and then this teal in the corner with this dark teal. Now this colour I could put with this teal, but I sort of wanted it to be deeper and darker, so I've gone with the darker mohair. And then round here, in this quadrant, pop in. You're right, Bob. You're being very helpful. Lovely company, aren't you? With this quadrant, I've got that nice deep green, and then this pink, the purple. What was going with this? Oh, this pink was going with this one. And then that light beige is with that one. And then, oh, the jelly, which I do have some more of, is going with that one. And then round here, I'll put... Hi, baby.
Look at these dogs.
Wow. I'll go with that one. And I think that was going to go there. And then this was going to go with that. This one is going to go with this. Oh, that one is going to go there. And what is this? This is purple, so that was going to go there. Okay, so I think I've got it so that there are no mohairs twice in the same quadrant. Let me move all the mohair so we can just see it. I don't think I've got any colours that are the same touching. There are colours sort of with the same values, so like this one and this one, or this one and this one got the same value, but I feel like as they've got different mohairs and mohair changes the yarn so much, it will probably be fine. Probably change it enough to look different. Okay. I do feel like I could do this forever, so I'm just going to go for it. It's really nerve-wracking. And then for the I-cord edging, I'll just see what colours really pop out and see where to go with that. So these are the colours that I haven't used. Get them all together. And these ones. And I haven't had any white mohair because I really do want it to stay quite deep as opposed to the frosty light. So yeah, these are the colours that I haven't used. So it might be that one of those becomes the border. I really like this deep brown, but I haven't got a deep enough mohair to go with it. But I could perhaps get a sort of deep coffee bean mohair and use that as the, it's just not wanting to focus at all. Fine, camera, you win. And have that as the edging, because that would form a really sort of quite stark edging for it. I don't think I want to use teal. Oh, I don't know. We'll decide at the end. It may be that I want to use this with the magenta mohair, just because I really like it. Or perhaps this with the purple. I feel like this is the same colour as that, just on a different base. So maybe that won't work as the corner, because it will be too similar to one of the colours in the triangle. Okay, so I think we're there. Or I might use this as the edge. I very, very possibly will use this as the edge with the mustard mohair, because there are no mustards at the edges of the blanket. They're all in the centre. And so that might be quite nice to tie it together. And since it's one of my favourite colours, pretty much my favourite colour, it might be quite nice to edge it with that. But I've got a way to go before I get there. So I need to ball up all of these yarns now. I want to label them all. I think the way I'm going to have to label them all is put them in bags. What's happening? They're playing. Can you hear them laughing? It's just my favourite sound. Yeah, I'm going to label them all and then begin. It's knit on 4.5mm needles, and there's never a huge amount of stitches on your needle until you get to the end, if you do the I called how I did it. I'm so excited and so nervous to start because will it look as it looks in my brain? I just don't know, and I won't see for ages. And I won't be able to show you this for ages either. Okay, I'm going to do it. Okay, I think we're getting there. I've done my map and I've put each quadrant in a bag. So that's 4, 1, 2, 3, which is an interesting way to count. And then all of the yarns that I'll use, this is the first one, so I've put in the mohairs as well. All the yarns that I'll use for that particular quadrant I've put in the bag. And I've also taken photos. That looks really dark in there. Oh. I could overthink this for the rest of my life. I don't know why the light's so blue. But I'm just going to go for it. This is Merlin, Mum's cat, Teddy's brother. Hello. It's September the 12th, I think, and I'm round at Mum's, finally trying to photograph the Goose Eggs Throw. I've had it finished for a little while, but our bedroom at home is being replastered and we're having a fitted wardrobe and having a new floor and things, so my house is in utter chaos. And the job was supposed to be done a while ago, so I was expecting to be able to photograph this at my house, but it's not happening, so I brought it to Mum's house today to photograph, which is actually really nice because she has such a lovely space, so I might do this more often actually. But I wanted to show you the finished Goose Eggs Throw. Actually, I've got two. So as you know, if you've watched the beginning of this video, I started the Goose Eggs Throw about a year ago. I think it was October. Actually, I think it was more than a year ago, but this is just how long patterns take me. I made it with 3 colours initially. I haven't brought that one with me actually, I should have. But yeah, I made it with 3 colours initially, and then I've shown you the process of choosing the colours for this one, which is the one with all of my scraps and leftovers and sort of a coordinating mohair. I absolutely love it, I'm so thrilled with it. And so there are 25 colours in there, including the border. And then I think it was, I can't remember if it was January or February, that we went over to Lay Family Yarn headquarters, and I picked out the colours for the main pattern sample. Because when I'm doing a pattern, I do really like it if the yarn is accessible, if it can be like directly replicated if somebody wishes, because I know I appreciate that sometimes. If I know I want to make the pattern but I don't want to spend a lot of time choosing my own yarn, I really like it if there's an option for the yarn to just be available as is in the pattern. So yeah, I went over to Lay Family Yarn, which I think I've also spoken about in this video a couple of months ago, and I expected to have this done and out about 6 months ago, but life does its thing, you know. So but here we are, and it's almost ready to go out. I think I've just got to take the photos, do a few tweaks to the pattern, the written pattern, and then release it. Maybe now's a good time because thoughts of advent calendars are going to be coming up, and I think it's a lovely one for an advent calendar because there are 25 colours, or 25 opportunities to use a different colour. There are more really if you want to stripe the triangles, but there are an opportunity for 25 different colours with the different triangles and the border, so it'd be lovely to do with an advent calendar. I think I'd love to try that anyway. So let me show you the Lay Family Yarn one. Okay, so this is the one in the Lay Family Yarn minis. They're 10 gram minis, but for the larger triangles like this one, you'd use, I think you use about 16-17 grams. I need to check my notes and update the pattern as to exactly what you use, but you don't use more than 20 grams for anything. The border, I think you use about 12 or 13 grams, something like that. But yeah, that's what it looks like. And this one is minis held together with the alpaca fluff. So now, cameras have a terrible time trying to pick up fluff. I wonder if you can get any sort of sense of fluffiness from that. But I'm so thrilled with how this one turned out. It's exactly as I envisioned it, because I wanted this one to be more true to the colours in the inspiration, which was the Goose Eggs book. And this has got the sort of warm but washed out sort of, that's what I love about using the fluff. It sort of washes the colour a little bit, sort of lets it blend and gives it this softness, which just seems very accurate from the, or an accurate representation of the colours used in the book, which I will show you when I am at home if I haven't done that already. But I just love all the different colours. And something that I think is quite fun is some of these colours are quite bright in their own right. So like this orange was quite a bright orange really, and I think this green was quite a bright green, but the alpaca just blends it together so beautifully. And so I think those pops of a bit of sort of more brightness really sort of add to the overall effect. They just give it the dimension and life. So yeah, I really like this. I really like how when you do it with just all different colours, your eye sort of jumps around a bit more. I think when like with the Goose Eggs quilt blocks, where these triangles are all in the same yarn, your eye is sort of taken round the piece, whereas this one, your eye just sort of darts from one thing to another to see all the different colours. It's finished off with an I-cord bind off, which I absolutely love as a finish. I just think it's so neat. And there's the back. So yeah, that's that one, and I'm thrilled with it. Let me show you the mohair one. So this is the mohair one, and this is one that I used my scraps and a coordinating mohair with, and this one is slightly smaller because I was sort of perfecting the stitch count, so the finished stitch count makes it the same size as the other one, and I'm really pleased with this one too. I was trying to block them outside because, like I said, I've got no space in my house because it's just chaos. You wouldn't think that doing stuff to one room would just impact the whole house, but it does. So I blocked these outside when we had a really hot day, and it wasn't quite dry before I had to bring it in, so it's not as blocked as I wanted it to be, but so I might at some point block it again. But I don't really think it matters. For me, it doesn't need to be a harsh sort of perfect square. But yes, so if you'll notice, there are 3 sort of golds. They're all different yarns actually. I wonder if it shows up a bit more on the camera than it does in real life. But I think we can tell that that's one of my favourite colours. And then with this, I did do the I-cord in this colour. So this has only got 24 colours. Hey Bobbin. Bobbin's just come up to see us. Hey Bob. So yeah. So thrilled with it, and I absolutely love it in all different colours. I think it looks so fun. It's a little Bobbin. Good boy. So just wanted to show you them in this light. I'm so thrilled with them. They're so lovely and squishy. You can see the difference between the mohair and the fluff in this light too. You're right, Bobbin. Bobbin's always being helpful. Oh, and there's Merlin. Oh, I'm just so thrilled. I love them in this light. So we're at Mum's house, so obviously there's lots of lovely things around. Excuse me, Bobbin. This is one of her hangings. This is a piece of fabric from a dress that Mum made me years and years ago. It's my Christmas dress, and a little bit of that fabric goes into all of Mum's hangings. Oh, there's a little bit more down here. There's some in my hangings at home, and I love this self-edge bit here, and there's a napkin. I think I might have bought Mum that napkin at some point, and I really like how this is a separate piece but part of the same. I wish I could show it you better, but I'd fall down the stairs. Let me see. Oh, there's Merlin. Didn't know I was going to tread on him. There we go. Hi, it's me again. So, it's the 30th of September today, and I just released the pattern. I was stalling on it, as I do with these things. We've had some stressful stuff happening at the house and just life, and so I've been stalling. It's been sort of ready. I tried something new with the pattern layout this time, which I hope that you'll like if you get the pattern. I really enjoyed doing it, actually. Yeah. So yeah, I've been spending some more time on the pattern side of it, and then I've been sort of stalling to get it out because of just life and feeling a bit overwhelmed and everything. But I woke up this morning to a message from my friend and test knitter Tracy asking me if I was going to release it today, and it just flipped a switch. Things have been a little bit stressful, so I've just been on pause with everything except the sort of bare necessities at the moment. But her message just flipped something for me, and I thought, yes, I am going to do that today. So thank you, Tracy. I really appreciate it, because I'm so thrilled to actually have it out. It's been a work in progress for almost exactly a year now, and it's so lovely that it's actually going to be out in the world. So yeah, the pattern is released, and I'm so excited to see your versions if you choose to knit one. And I just thought I'd show you the different ones that I did. So this is the sample one. This is with Lay Family yarn. Oh, you can sort of see a little idea of size. So it's a lovely sort of lap blanket size, really cozy and lovely. Yeah, I was thinking, was it too lovely just to be sort of thrown over you on the sofa? But that's what it's for, and why shouldn't those things be lovely? Yeah, I don't know. My mind is still a little bit distracted. And as I've said before, you can also wear it as a wrap. Let me artfully toss. And it makes a really nice size. I wonder if you can see. You can see all the different colours. I'm sure there are many more stylish ways to wear this, but that is not necessarily my forte, so you can bunch it up. And I just really, really love this. It's so cozy. I do have to admit, I think this one for me will be a wearing thing rather than a cozy blanket thing, because it's just so soft. I was umming and ahhing. This is actually the inside, but it's just as neat as the outside. So, or that's the wrong side, but it's just as neat as the right side. So it's fine being worn like that. And I was really sort of torn between putting it as a wrap or a throw. And I still don't know if I've made the right decision on calling it a throw instead of a wrap, but I don't know. It just sort of, it fits the inspiration more as a sort of cozy home thing in my mind, but actually with this one especially, I think it will be more something that I wear. And you can pick your favourite side if you have one, and maybe that'll change as time passes. But yeah, I really like it as just a throw around the shoulders to keep you warm type thing. Big cozy and so fluffy. Yeah, anyway, so that is the lovely one with the Lay Family yarn Pick and Mix minis and their natural alpaca floof. So absolutely love it. And I think in the hands, it's so difficult with photos as well, isn't it? Because I think in the hands you can really see the drape of it a lot better, see how it moves. I just love the I-cord edging. I knew it had to be I-cord edging because it sort of put me in mind, like it is on the Goose Eggs quilt, because it sort of puts me in mind of quilt binding. It sort of turns around the edge, so it just seems to really fit this project. And now someone asked this morning, what is the difference between this one and the Goose Eggs quilt? And the difference in the pattern is that this one has a different stitch count, different needle size, it's at a different gauge, and the pattern is just to complete this single block, modularly knit, with the border. Whereas the Goose Eggs quilt is how to knit one block to then seam together to then make into a quilt with a border. The construction is the same, it's just the gauge and the stitch count and the final or the finished object that is different. So this will, at the Goose Eggs quilt, you could make as many blocks as you wanted and sew them all together, whereas this is just one. Although if you felt so inclined, you could do these giant blocks and sew them together to make a really big cozy quilt. But yeah, I love this one. Absolutely love it. And yes, I do think it's going to be something I wear rather than something I have on the sofa. So I don't know if throw or wrap's the right. That's the right. I don't know if throw over wrap was the right call or not really, but yeah, you can do both with it, technically. Let me show you, I'll show you this one now. So this was my very first sample. You would have seen it in the one where I picked out the colours for the mohair one. So this is how, well, I worked out the construction on just some regular DK weight yarn. But then this was the first one where I actually put that all together. I just loved it with 3 colours as well. It's just so striking in its own way, I think. And this one is slightly smaller because I used a different stitch count. It took me a while to work out the optimal stitch count so that you'd use the most amount of a 20-gram mini for the largest triangle. So this one was a different stitch count, but I just love this. This has got mohair as opposed to the alpaca fluff, which also makes a difference because that alpaca fluff is just a little bit fluffier, isn't it? So it makes it a little bit bigger. So this was made almost entirely a year ago. Almost exactly a year ago. Yeah, that makes more sense. Almost exactly a year ago. And I love that. And then my last one is the mohair. The one I did with my leftovers and my mohair in different colours. And I really love how this one turned out too. It's such a rich piece. This is actually done with a different stitch count as well. This one is slightly smaller than the final piece, so it is slightly smaller than the final sample. And it was interesting because I did this smaller stitch count. I started and I thought, yeah, that'll work. But then it's interesting how little tweaks make such a difference. And this one was much less, the stitch count affected how intuitive it was to work. And so I changed that because the whole point with my patterns, I think I've said this before, is I want them to be enjoyable to knit. If they're not enjoyable to knit, then I just don't want to do them because that's the whole point for me. And if it wasn't enjoyable to knit, I wouldn't have knit 3. Plus, if you count the Goose Eggs quilt blocks, which I must give you an update on one of these days anyway. Update on how many I've got, rather than not an update to the pattern, that hasn't changed. Anyway, mumble mumble, that's the mohair one. I just love it. So lovely. And yes, this one too, I sort of take it off centre, so it's got the little corner sticking out, and then I find that gives the best width. And this is going to be lovely to wear in the winter because it's so warm. And look, I just love how you see all the different colours. The more I do this, the more I'm thinking, perhaps you should have called it a wrap. But we are where we are, and it also makes a perfect throw. And I think it would make a lovely baby blanket as well if you sub the mohair and the fluff. Well, you sub all the yarns and just use DK weight in place of the two yarns held together, then it would make a lovely washable baby blanket. So yes, that's that. That's all three. Let me see if I can grab all three. And you know, I'd love to knit another one. I'd love to knit one with an advent calendar. I think that would be so fun. But yeah. So much squishy garter stitch. Just love garter stitch. So I hope you like them. And if you feel so inclined and want to knit one, then I hope you enjoy the process. I hope you enjoy picking out all of your different yarns or organising all your different yarns, or going with the kit and relaxing through the process, just having each one set out for you already. In the pattern I've got a map of where I put my colours so that you can easily just follow it as a guide, or you can just freestyle to your heart's content. And I have thought, I think it would be really fun to do some of the blocks solid or semi-solid and some of the blocks striped. I think that would be really interesting to just sort of get quite creative with the use of yarns in between. It will mean a whole load more ends, but embracing that for the outcome. And the process, it would be fun to do. Like you could do all of your larger triangles. I keep finding bits of garden on this because I blocked it out in the garden. You could make all of your larger triangles striped, or you could just like do the odd little triangle here and there striped. I think that would be really fun. You could do two rose stripes, so really thin, or you could do big blocks of stripe. I just think it's such a fun base for your creativity to just thrive and do whatever you feel inclined to do. So yeah, so lovely having it out in the world, and it's been a long process, so I'm really, really pleased. So yes, thank you so much for watching this very long video, if you've managed to get all the way through it. I enjoy seeing other people's processes and how they put things together, so I hope you did too. Well, before I go, this is the colouring book raglan. I think I mentioned it in a previous podcast. Don't know what you can see in the camera there. Really like this pattern. But yeah, I just wanted to sign this one off, show you the last, show you all of the throws all together, and say thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again really, really soon. Do get in touch with me if you do knit on this pattern, because I'd love to see your projects. And until then, I hope you're having a lovely start to autumn, wherever you are. Bye.